Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be looking at Season 10 of The X-Files. So Season 10 takes place 14 years after the events of Season 9 and 7 years after the events of the second movie, I Want to Believe. It sees Scully and Mulder back at the FBI, while also learning more about extraterrestrials and their relationship with the United States government. So after the failure of I Want to Believe, Chris Carter ended up reviving the franchise again with a 6-episode limited series that ended up being Season 10. And despite its strong ratings, it ended up receiving mixed reviews, with the majority of the Monster of the Week episodes being praised, while the mythology episodes in particular were poorly received. But it was still financially successful enough to renew the show for an 11th season, which also ended up being its last. And so with all this in mind, what did I think of it? Did it deliver? Well, not really. The overall package just ended up being okay in my opinion. It's not terrible, but it's very lackluster compared to the majority of the franchise. So let's get into it. So first of all, David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson slipped back into their iconic roles perfectly here, and it didn't feel like they were just trying to emulate their younger selves. You know, a lot of time has passed since their last appearance together in I Want to Believe, and so they've definitely aged a bit in that time. So I think they did a brilliant job in bringing an older Scully and Mulder to life, resulting in performances that felt somewhat familiar but somewhat fresh. On top of that, the believer-skeptor dynamic between the two of them has been reversed. You know, Scully is now a believer given what she experienced in Mulder's temporary absence on the show, and Mulder is now a skeptic given how much time has passed since the show's original run. And not once did it ever feel forced or gimmicky. And if you're a sucker for fan service, this season has a couple of winks, nods, references, and callbacks without confusing casual viewers too much. Out of the 6 episodes, 4 of them are Monster of the Week episodes, and out of those 4, there's 3 that I genuinely enjoyed. Founder's Mutation sees Scully and Mulder investigate the apparent suicide of a geneticist, and the episode has a lot to do with genetic experimentation and people possessing strange, extraordinary abilities. Mulder and Scully Meet the Were-Monster is a comedy episode and is without a doubt the best episode of the season, as it features Scully and Mulder investigating killings believed to have been committed by a were-monster. It was downright hilarious. It made an effective use of the believer-skeptic dynamic between Scully and Mulder. Kumail Nanjiani is in it, and it's easily one of the best comedy episodes in the entire franchise. Home Again sees Mulder investigate the murder of a city official, which doesn't seem to have been committed by human hands. Meanwhile, Scully is dealing with a personal tragedy. Sure, the title is a bit misleading since you might believe this to be a sequel to the Season 4 episode Home, but it was still an enjoyable, classic Monster of the Week story. However, despite all of this, I had plenty of issues with Season 10, especially regarding the mythology, so we're gonna get to that right now. Now, my biggest issue with Season 10 is the format. You know, you can't really do much with 6 episodes. And out of those 6 episodes, only 2 of them, the premiere and the finale, were mythology episodes, while everything else in between is just Monster of the Week stuff, with a few significant plot points to justify watching those episodes anyway. Because if you just watch the 2 mythology episodes, you're gonna be confused. Another issue is the style they chose to go with. It just gives the show this unnecessarily polished and sterile feel, making it feel more like a modern big-budget CW show than a season of The X-Files. It works for some episodes like Mulder and Scully Meet the Were-Monster, Home Again, and the finale, My Struggle 2. But in the other episodes, it felt really out of place, and could have benefited from the classic X-Files atmosphere. Out of all the Monster of the Week episodes, my least favorite ended up being Babylon. It sees an art gallery being bombed, and the prime suspect is a presumed suicide bomber who survived the explosion and is currently in a vegetative state. This episode was just weird and not in the good X-Files kind of way. The whole Islamic terrorist thing, even by 2016, considering that's when this came out, feels tired and lacking in relevance, even though ISIS is still talked about these days. The tone was all over the place, and Mulder ends up doing something really weird that starts out okay, but just ends up being cringy altogether.
And that repulsive country line dancing shit that you do. And be yourself, be proud, be white, be lame, and get the fuck off the dance floor.
So yeah, it was a complete misfire in my opinion. Although it did introduce agents Einstein and Miller, who are kind of like a young Scully and Mulder, but with a skeptic-believer dynamic reminiscent of Scully and Mulder's early years. And the two mythology episodes, My Struggle and My Struggle 2, were kind of a mixed bag. They had some high points and they had some low points. In My Struggle, Scully and Mulder meet Tad O'Malley, a right-wing online webcaster who believes that all of this stuff regarding alien abductions and an oncoming alien invasion are all just part of a nefarious smokescreen for what the government has planned. And they also meet Sveta, a woman who is a victim of multiple alien abductions. The problems I have with this episode are the over-reliance on very exposition-heavy monologues, and the return of a specific character that just did not make sense at all. And My Struggle 2 has to do with an alien virus. While the idea sounds cool and I still enjoyed the episode more or less, especially the cliffhanger ending, this particular plot thread comes literally out of nowhere. It's never set up or even mentioned earlier in the season, it's just put front and center in the last episode. And one particular aspect of the premiere episode is never brought up again throughout the whole season, not even in this finale. So yeah, season 10 as a whole, it's kind of a mess really. So yeah, those are my thoughts on season 10 of The X-Files. Next time we're going to be looking at the 11th and final season, so look forward to that very soon. Thank you all for watching guys, please be sure to like the video, share it and subscribe, ring the bell, take care and I'll see you soon.